Hey guys, what's up? I just wanted to do a video about Collin Ferrall's interview on Hot Ones where he talks about a general American accent. Now, I'm Canadian. I won't get into that accent wise, but I studied linguistics in high school. I find accents really interesting, especially the different North American English accents. And in the interview, he's talking about how it's hard to get a general American accent because it's non-specific. And how are you supposed to get an accent that's non-specific? And the answer to the question is in the question. A general American accent isn't a thing. It doesn't exist. You do have to do a specific accent. And I think when Hollywood says general American, what they mean is standard American, which is a basically Washington State accent. Now, the Seattle, Washington State, Seattle sort of area, Portland maybe if you want to get like whatever, that general Washington State West Coast accent, not California, not like one of those northern cities like Chicago or whatever. So the answer to the question is the general American accent is a Seattle accent. And the key to doing that is you have to study someone who lives in Seattle. Now, Seattle and Vancouver are like sister cities. They pretty much have the exact same accent. I'm from Vancouver. So basically my accent is standard American, even though I'm Canadian. I'll get into that. There are several different accents in Canada and in the US. The United States has many distinct accents, obviously. On the East Coast, you have your New York, you have your New Jersey, you have your Maryland, whatever. All those like distinct accents for people who know them. If you're from like Europe, you think they're all the same, but they're not. So again, the answer to the question is in the question. You do have to have a specific accent. Standard American, aka General American, which doesn't exist, is a Washington State accent. The thing about Washington, and specifically Seattle, is what I'm getting into. Seattle and Vancouver, as I mentioned, are similar cities for a bunch of historical reasons. They're sort of geographically the same-ish, Pacific Northwest. But they're also sort of metropolitan in a non-international way, meaning they do have a lot of international people, but not too many from specific areas. So people in Seattle, you'll find people who are formerly from maybe the East Coast somewhere. You'll find people who are from the South. But a lot of people that move there either move during adolescence, which is when the accents get developed in humans, generally, or during university. So like late teens to early 20s. On top of that, there's people who move fully in their adulthood from other places. Usually from other cities, but that's just because more populations are in other cities. But they could be from rural places, they could be from Kansas, they could be from Louisiana, but generally other American places. And they move there and they amalgamate as like a whole like soup thing. But on the other hand, it's not so international, or whatever you want to call that, multi-area mixing, because it's not actually international, it's mostly just other Americans. It's not so much so that there's any one prevalent culture. So what you want to do, I guess, in a more practical sense, if you are an actor trying to learn general American English, what I would suggest is you pick a Washington State, specifically, if you can get a local news person. Because general American, you want them to be educated enough that they can have like a news speak accent. So like in the UK, it's changed a bit now, but back in the day, the BBC, you had to have a certain accent for the BBC. It was all the BBC accent. And the BBC accent was essentially just a version of received pronunciation, blah, blah, blah. I won't get into the whole that. But for people who are like from the UK or Ireland, who understand what I'm talking about with the BBC accent, the American news speak accent is the Seattle accent. I think I've already said this 7 times. So it is not a general American accent because that doesn't exist. Just in case you didn't get it the first 6 times, here we go. So yeah, you just want to find someone who's from Seattle, doesn't necessarily need to be born and raised there, but enough so that they have the accent. Why I'm suggesting a news person is because they're then trained to speak like that. And I'm pretty sure even to this day, most news people, especially national news people, who have specific accents, like if they're from a southern state or whatever, like a very like distinct accent, will learn the Washington state accent to read the news in a way that everyone understands. Now, when they're learning it, they're probably being told it's general American, but it's not general American. It is the Washington state accent is being used as the prototype because it's not too distinctive. It's easy to understand. It's fast enough that it's not like rural and dumb sounding, but it's not mumbly to the point of being hard and to understand and confusing like some places. So that's the answer. I don't know. I've just been thinking about this on and off for several months since I watched that Hot Ones interview. And I'm like, surely someone else has made a video about this, but I don't know. I Googled it really quickly and like no one seems to have done it. So, I don't know. If you're a friend of Collin Ferral's or any other sort of Irish or British actors who are looking to learn general American accent, maybe send them this video or just give them the synopsis, which is that yes, it doesn't exist. That's why it's difficult to do, because there is no such thing. It's based on what? Yes, the Seattle accent. Correct. I'm glad you were paying attention. I don't know why that just bugged me so much. But as I was watching the interview, I was yelling at the screen, yes, you have the answer to the question in the question, because it is specific. It's pretty much my accent, basically. So I guess you could do the Vancouver accent and call it a general American accent. But then you'll have the slightly different maybe vowels and then whatever. People, hey, you're too Canadian, blah. But without that very, very slight vowel raising thing that Canadians often do, that's the answer. There is no general American. It's the Washington state accent. It's specific. It's just not known as being specific to most people who aren't total linguistics nerds like myself. So that's the video. I don't know. Did I talk about it too much? Did I say the same thing 10 times? Probably. But it's probably because I'm just like, how did not anyone else say this? It's so obvious to me. Anyway, thanks again for watching. I'll check you next time. Peace.